I built this scale ship with Chogche, so it was a collab. And out of that project came a bunch of E2s. Now, a couple of these E2s in particular, I went ahead and put on the GitHub because there was a few requests. But this one is basically a floating E2. The other one is a basic controller that depends on Fin 3 propellers and Fin 2 rudders, or Fin 2 surfaces to act as a rudder. I also have a couple of demo vehicles. So this one is another scale ship example. And this one is supposed to be like a PT boat or a speedboat, full size. And that's basically going to be it for this video for many of you because, well, the examples are just the best way to learn how to build something. However, if you are interested or want to make your own rather than retrofitting one of these, I am going to be building another PT boat-esque thing from scratch. Okay, so I've laid out my boat a little bit. Got my rough dimensions, ACF components in place and all that. Doesn't really matter. So the first thing I want to do is work on this floating chip. So as for wiring, we only need to wire the base, and that's it. I guess I should go over weights for the base. So for reference, this weighs 1 ton, and it's a good idea to set the inertia on this too. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So just looking at it, it's like 2,000, 2,000, 6,000. That should be good. And so yep, just like every other one of my E2s, this thing has to be aligned because I love watching people be tortured and suffer. Yeah, a bunch of crap everywhere. So Bluesy needs to point up. Let's go ahead and do that. That's down. Actually, screw this, I'm cheating. This is another chip that's on the GitHub, but this should spit out the perfect alignment angle. There we go. 180, 90. Okay, there we go. You might also notice there's a couple other holograms. So there's a red sphere and this other thing that's underground that you can't see anymore. So I'm just gonna move some things around. Origin height, I like to leave that at 100, but let's make the distance like 0. So ideally this would be at the bottom of your hull. So I guess I can go a bit underneath my base plate. 20. 30. So if I actually had a boat model, this would basically be where the bottom of the hull is. Okay, that's good. So can I add the debug holograms now? Another thing that's kind of important is I want the physical material to be metal bouncy just because it's one of the ones that has the least friction in the water. That is if you want your base plate to actually be in the water. You could also have your base plate hover over the water, but I'm just gonna do it like this. Okay. Let's see what happens. Okay. Okay, so this E2 is kind of annoying to set up because you have to change the linear force, you also have to change the angular forces. So let's actually take a few zeros off the angular forces for now. And we'll focus on the linear force. So right now it's too much. Let's try like 550. And also this is constant and this is the damping. I like the base plate to be just about completely submerged. I need to go like 250 and like, oh, we can say at 50. Is that it? A little bit more. 200. Okay, now we can play with the damping a little bit more. Actually, no, that looks good. Alright, let's take a look at the angular forces then. So, I'm gonna weather check. It's just see how it reacts when you like fizz it, pitch and roll it. Right now it's very slow. Let's go ahead and work on the, I guess we can focus on the pitch then. So, yeah, let's just add a couple zeros back, I guess. And also have these like pre-multiply here. You can just put a raw number in here, but this is easier for me to keep them as ratios to each other. So working on the pitch now. I like it to be a bit stronger, so let's do like 4,000. And I like it to be a bit more damp, so we'll do like 2.5. Maybe a bit too much. It's a boat after all. But yeah, that should be fine. So the rolling axis has a bit less inertia, or about a quarter of it. What is it, a third? Well, we can just like go to 1,000. That should be a pretty good starting point. See how it behaves. Yeah, it's a bit too strong actually. And I'm mostly just doing this by look. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay. So we did the hardest part, getting our boat to float. Alright, we're coming up on another milestone. Getting this thing to move, that is. So, what I have so far is a very bouncy base plate, because metal bouncy. But also, I have a ballast block, just in case I will need to put some weight up here, because the propeller shafts weigh 75 each. And that's just a number I spitballed. But you'll also notice that we have some fin 2 props here. 250 fin, 250 fin. Now this is going to be the rudder. This is just a fin that'll basically control how the boat rolls when it's moving to the side. I have mine above the center of the base plate because I want it to roll into the direction it's moving in. You'll see in a minute. So inertia for the propellers. Definitely want some inertia on these. Looks like the rotating axis is Z, so we'll do like, I just like using 100, so we'll do 100, like 200, 200 on both of these. Okay, so let's actually begin wiring this up. So, pod controller, Epic. So we have a pod controller, wire link, base plate, also needs to be aligned, so let me go ahead and do that. And because we already aligned this, we can just copy this angle from the floater E2. So that's good. Just right E2. Right shaft. And left shaft. Also we have the rudder int. This goes to the rudder entity itself and the rudder gate. So your inputs and outputs can actually be different because of the way this handles the entities and gates. So basically there's a special function for making your shaft and also making your rudder. But we're just gonna assume the E2 is stock, as in the way I put it up on the GitHub. Okay, so let's see what happens if I just update this. Now you might notice that this shaft doesn't exist anymore. Now I'm assuming that you're gonna have your shafts in the water, and having the shafts in the water is really, they act quite strange. So what I do is like, I set them to be not solided. So setting this to 1, they will be solid. And I need that so I can work on them. So I need to add fuel to this and also stick a fin 3 propeller on this. Alright, now I've actually wired up my engine, but wired active to, well, I guess I can show you. Yep, engine active on the chip and throttle to throttle on the chip. But now it's time to make the fin for these. So this is gonna be fin 3. Yeah, let's do it. Fin 3. I'm just gonna max the blade count real quick and just start off at like 4. Also, one of these gearboxes is gonna have to be negative, but we'll figure that out. So let's try making this one negative. Positive. Make this one negative. So a couple of things I need to do because this is not a ship. I want to be able to hold the throttle, so I'll just set sticky throttle blitz 0. And let's do it with like 20 degrees on the propellers. I think that should be fine. Don't really need to touch the rudder, but actually we want to turn a bit faster because it's a small boat. And the shaft needs to... Actually, no, that's the shaft. So the shaft will adjust faster, and we'll make the rudder adjust faster. It's a small boat. Okay. And also we're leaving shaft solid 1 for now, because we're testing this. So, I'm looking for some particular characteristics. Also, I've set up my gearing so that the RPM on the shaft should be about like 500 RPM at max, so 15 times, 0.15 times about 3000 is gonna be about 500. Okay, let's see what happens, and I'm actually gonna use this pretty useful feature of fin 3. Debug. So ideally those should both be positive. Okay, so what I ideally want is for the engine to be sort of at the top of its power band, max throttle, so let's see. I think my propellers need a bit more inertia, and also you can see that the right shaft needs to be inverted. Let's do that. Into propeller. Copy. Invert. And basically I'll show you what I mean with inverting the propeller. So you can see now it's rotating clockwise. This one's rotating counterclockwise. If I invert this one, counterclockwise. Okay. Let's see what happens. Also, these shafts just need a bit more inertia because the engine's like, you can hear it stuttering basically, so let's find the inertia tool first, and let's go right 250. Yeah, that's a little bit better. However, the fin radius needs to come down a bit, so let's get our fin propeller. And we'll do like, I don't know, 3.75. So I don't think this one was reversed. Yeah, there we go. This one is inverted. I'm actually going to adjust the original as well. And give them the inertia before I forget, because that would be bad. Okay, back to testing. So these should... I'd be happy if the engine got to about 5,000 RPM. Or 3,000 RPM, sorry. And sort of just stayed there. This could work too. Calm down, please. There we go. Do like 3.5 for the fin 3 propeller. Yep, okay. Good. You're inverted. No, invert this as well. Like, stick it on this one. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, okay, I think that's good enough. So all we can do now is go on to the original. We can turn off this debug menu too. And we're going to make the shaft not solid anymore because of the water interaction. And we'll see how this works. Yeah, this is why I wanted the ballast block. Because of the shaft weight back there. That's good. Alright, let's take it for a spin and see what happens. And see how it is. And I want to debug the chips so everything's done. I'm not sure how fast we're moving, but oh gosh. Okay. Yay, I'm still finding bugs in this stupid freaking chip. Alright, it should work now. So let me just unprobe everything. Alright, controller. That's mildly disconcerting. Anyway, let's just see how it drives. And I want to debug the ship. There we go. I'm not sure how fast it's moving because I don't have a speedometer or anything, but here we go. E-boat / patrol boat. That will also sort of slide across the line if you do go on the ground, because metal. Yeah, you kind of see what I mean with putting the fin above the center of the base plate. It sort of rolls into the direction. If I had a ship, I would put that below the base plate so it rolls out, just to make it look like a ship. You probably get some more speed out of this if you really tuned it, but I haven't been doing boat stuff for very long at all. Okay. Be fine. And that is basically it. So there are more chips, but I sort of meant for this to be like a thing to build like scale ships, but people wanted to make speedboats with it, so we'll just leave it at these two because that's, you know, generic enough. So I hope you found this useful, and until next time, see you around.